Welcome to the Southern California Prep Insider Football Podcast. Tommy and Shotgun here for you. We have our top 10s, we have some top performers, we have some field reporters out all over the place, and we have our game picks. Shotgun, how are you feeling this week?
I'm ready to go. I'm ready for, the game of the galaxy.
The game of the galaxy, that's right. We said on the radio show this is the game of the galaxy, so it has to be. Otherwise, I don't know what I'll do. I'll do something. I'll do something drastic. So, Shotgun, really quickly, who's in your top 10?
First, let's start with the team that dropped out. Orange Lutheran, losing to St. John Bosco, 63-28. Game they were in early, but they fall out of that one. So they fall out at 4-3 now. Taking their place is Upland, a team we had in the rankings earlier this year. They're now 6-1. They cruise past Los Osos, 45-23. It led 24-6 at half, and never really looked back. How about Justin Flo? I mean, that kid is just remarkable. I think he had 15 tackles in this one. He just continues to rack up the tackles, the middle linebacker for Upland. Number 9, I got Cajon. They're 6-1 now after beating Redlands 57-7. Jaden Daniels, 311 yards. He became the San Bernardino County all-time leading passer. He's still 600 yards behind Hank Bachmeyer for first in the Inland Empire. So it's going to be tough to catch him because Bachmeyer is throwing for a number of yards every week as well. Number 8, I got Calabasas. They actually jump over Cajon here. They beat Sierra Canyon 42-35. Another close game, but they find a way to win. Once again, Jaden Casey, 30 for 52, 404 yards, 5 touchdowns, and he scored the winning touchdown on a quarterback sneak with a minute to go when he said to the coaches, like, let me take this one. I got this, coach. Sierra Canyon drove down to 26 in that game, but the Coyotes got an interception with 6 seconds left to seal the game. Micah Pittman, the Oregon commit, 10 catches, 138 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Jermaine Burton and Johnny Wilson also had a touchdown each for Calabasas. Corona Del Mar, 6-1. They beat Fountain Valley 49-21. Ethan Garbers broke his brother's school record, throwing for 476 yards and 6 touchdowns. They also ran for a touchdown, so that conversation was good after the game. How was your game, buddy? I just took your record.
Yeah.
And then John Humphreys, his wide receiver, also set a school record. 11 catches, school record, 279 yards. That kid's been phenomenal this year as well. He's going to be a big-time recruit to watch next year. Number 6, I got JSerra. They beat up on Servite 49-6. They scored 35 points in the first half. Caden Bell, 14 of 16, 266 yards and 5 touchdowns. That's efficient right there. Tariq Luckett and Manir McClain each had 2 touchdowns themselves, and Luckett also had an interception. He's been doing it on both sides of the ball. Mission Viejo, I'm dropping them down to 5, Tommy. Discussed this on the radio show. What do we do with them? They're technically 4-4 now because they had to forfeit their first 4 games for an ineligible player. So I got them at 4-4. I moved them down 1 spot to 5 because on the field they're still 8-0. They beat Capistrano Valley.
The best 4-4 team in the history of the Southern Section.
Quite possibly. I mean, they beat Capistrano Valley 31-24. They got down by 2 scores in this game. They were trailing 24-17 in the third quarter. But Joey Yellen, the Arizona State quarterback commit, leads his team to victory 29-40, 366 yards and 2 touchdowns. He's now got a 20-1 touchdown to interception ratio. That's good, in case you're wondering. Nathan Manning on the other side for Capistrano Valley was really good, 17-28, 314 yards and 3 touchdowns. But he did throw an interception in the fourth quarter. Akili Arnold always making plays. He has the interception to set up the winning touchdown. He also had 7 catches, 164 yards. Jamari Farrell had a touchdown. TJ Rowland had an 11-yard touchdown that put the Diablos ahead. But do want to give credit to Capistrano Valley. They were really good in this game. And to James Giles, their linebacker, had 17 solo tackles in this one. He was doing as much as he could to limit that Mission Viejo offense, but instead they fall in this one. Capistrano Valley does, 31-24. At number 4, I got Oaks Christian. They're 7-0 now. They beat up on Newberry Park 55-0. That defense is legit. 3 interceptions. They held the Panthers to under 100 yards. Josh Calvert, 7-9, 190 yards and 2 touchdown passes, 1 touchdown rushing. Barely played in the second half as well. St. John Bosco at number 3. I know I'm the only one, Tommy. I think it's what you said. I'm the only one that has the number 3.
Only one that has number 3 in the country, not just the section. I think you're the only one who has that low in the country, but go on.
Hey, they got their opportunity this week. They beat Orange Lutheran 63-28. Game was close, but St. John Bosco does it on special teams. They get a 70-yard touchdown return right before the half to take the lead, and then they get the kickoff to start the second half, and Chris Hudson takes his second kick return back for a touchdown. And the one right before the half wasn't his. So they had 3 kickoff return touchdowns, including one right before the half, one right after the half. Completely swings the momentum in that game. DJ Ualele, 23 of 28, 261 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 2 touchdown runs as well. And George Halani put it away late with 2 touchdown runs. And then number 2, I got Centennial. You know, how am I supposed to move Bosco ahead of Centennial when they're beating folks 78-0?
Strength schedule.
Strength of schedule is Centennials right now. They played all those teams early in the season and beat them. So I got Centennial at number 2 right now, but that'll change this week quite possibly if Bosco can get a win. Drake Jackson with a sack, strip fumble, and a return for touchdown. Nick Smith with a 68-yard fumble return for a touchdown. Cruz Costin with a pick-6 interception. They also had a safety, so 3 defensive touchdowns and a safety. They've now scored at least 40 points in 30 consecutive league games. That's crazy.
That's pretty good.
And number 1, I got Mater Dei. They beat Santa Margarita 49-7. They didn't get their 5th shutout in 7 games, though, but they've only allowed 48 points this season. Bryce Young, 11 of 14, 283 yards, 4 touchdowns passing. Brew McCourt, 2 touchdowns. Catch 2 touchdowns. Harper ran for 2 touchdowns. It was a 2-touchdown affair for Mater Dei. So that's my top 10. Tommy, who you guys got?
We've got Calabasas at number 10 after a good win against Sierra Canyon. Orange Lutheran stays at 9, even though they did suffer a loss to Bosco. 8, Upland. 7, Bishop Amat. 6, JSerra. 5, Mission Viejo. 4, Oaks Christian. 3, Centennial. 2, St. John Bosco. And number 1, Mater Dei. And obviously we'll talk about that game in our game picks section. But first we got to get to our top performers from last week. So Shotgun, as always, let me know when you need the halftime break.
Yeah, ton of top performers this week. I'd actually cut guys off. I mean, if you didn't catch a run for 200 yards or at least have like 5 touchdowns, I had to take some guys off the list that initially because there were just so many great performances this week. We'll start with Ryan Sinelli at La Habra, 319 yards passing, 5 touchdowns, including 2 to Kalani Washington and 1 to Clark Phillips III, who also had an interception in their 56-14 win. We mentioned him every single week, I believe. Anthony Munoz from Western, 366 yards passing, 6 touchdowns, 5 of those going to the brothers Cassius and Kane Savage. Nicholas Thornburn from Hemet, 313 yards passing, 3 touchdowns, and a come-from-behind 25-14 win. 23 points in the second half there for Hemet to get that win. Alex Castellanos from La Puente, 34 carries, carrying the workload here. 229 yards, 2 touchdowns, in a loss, unfortunately. He had to do as much as he could, but they could not catch up in that one. Michael Allen Reddy from Los Alamitos, 6 sacks. And he blocked a punt and returned it for a touchdown. Now that's a pretty good defensive performance there. How about this name, Tommy? You're gonna love this one. Coda Thormor. I can't even get to it. Thormor.
That's how I have
Thormo.
it. That's exactly how
We're going with Thormo.
Yeah.
Coda Thormadsgaard.
Okay.
17 carries, 211 yards in a win from Miracosta. Might have to cut that one out. Who knows? Joey Hobart from San Juan Hills, he had 7 catches for 78 yards, including a touchdown on a shovel pass. But he also blocked a field goal, returned that for a touchdown. He made a field goal as the kicker, and he had a 3rd touchdown on a trick play as receiver Carson Lewis threw an 11-yard touchdown pass to him. So that's an all-around, all-over-there performance there. And then the defensive end for San Juan Hills on the other side, Cade Albright, 4.5 sacks and a pass deflection. Get it done on the defensive side.
Wait, hold on. Wait. Can I get a run at this real quick?
Go for it.
Thormadsgaard.
Yeah, you got it. I was saying it correctly before.
You said it right before?
Thormadsgaard. Coda Thormadsgaard.
Coda Thormadsgaard. All right, fine. All right, go.
Too good, too. What a name. Yeah. He's straight from Thor. AJ Duffy, Rancho Verde, 11 for 13, efficient, super efficient. We like those efficient nights. 269 yards passing, at 2 touchdowns. He also ran for 2 touchdowns in a 63-13 win. Xavier Gorgi for Rancho Verde also had 12 carries to 182 yards and 2 touchdowns. Wouldn't have mentioned him. He wouldn't have made the cut, but I was already mentioning somebody else. So we'll slide him in there, Xavier. Got you. Marshall Saul from Paraclete, 25-36, 355 yards, 4 touchdowns, including the game winner with 8 seconds to go. He also ran for a touchdown on that one. Great job by Marshall Saul there. Beating St. Francis, who had Darius Parantes. Parantes was 24 of 37, 408 yards, and 5 touchdowns in the 56-49 loss. He also ran for 67 yards. And then this is probably my favorite one of the night. Nick Billups from St. Anthony, 8 of 18, 176 yards passing. He had a touchdown, but it was on the ground. 12 carries, 233 yards, 5 touchdowns, and he caught a 42-yard touchdown pass. So doing all 3 facets of the offense there. So That's my halftime of my top performers, Tommy. Who you guys got?
I have got. What you guys? Sorry, I looking something up. You said something that made me think of something else, and now it's too late. Don't worry about it. Starting with Cooper Meeks, I have two Notre Dame guys from different Notre Dames. This one's from Notre Dame Sherman Oaks, 170 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, 98 rushing yards, and a touchdown for him. Cam Fouts, Oak Park, 297 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, and a rushing touchdown. Jaylon Daniels from Lawndale, 189 rushing yards and a touchdown. It was a big game for him because Jordan Wilmore was hurt, so he had to kind of pick up the slack on the ground. So Lawndale was able to pull off that game against Culver City. Ashton Othman, Notre Dame Riverside, 165 receiving yards, 2 touchdowns. Xavier Ochoa Rico from Paraclete, 151 rushing yards, 2 touchdowns on 10 carries. Hank Bachmeyer, Marietta Valley, I think you already kind of mentioned it, 338 passing yards, 4 touchdowns, 59 rushing yards, and 2 touchdowns. And Julian Bourne from Saugus, 140 receiving yards and a pair of touchdowns.
Yeah, Hank Bachmeyer, 6 touchdowns in that game. You know, his favorite target was Jordan Murray, who had 7 catches, 181 yards, and 4 touchdowns. Also had an 84-yard punt return touchdown, so 5 touchdowns for him in that game. I don't know how you missed out on mentioning him, Tommy. That was a great performance. It's better than the quarterback's 6 touchdowns. Also, in that you talked about Ashton Othman, you know, his 4 touchdowns that he had. But on the other side, they beat Valley View in that game. On the other side, Anthony Funches did as much as he could. It was a 36-32 game. He had 281 yards rushing and 4 touchdowns, but not enough. Othman had just enough to get his team over the hump there. J.P. Andrade, we talk about him a lot, from Bonita, 24 37, 374 yards, 4 touchdowns, also ran for a touchdown. His favorite target was Cade Cadam, had 12 catches, 185 yards, and 3 TDs. Let's give some love to the defense. Citrus Hill, they're 7-0 with 6 shutouts. They held Keats to 24 yards in a 37-0 win. I mean, that defense has been phenomenal all season. So Citrus Hill is getting it done on the defensive side. Emmanuel Affa from Rancho Dominguez, another defensive player, 11 tackles, 7 tackles for loss, Tommy. I mean, that's playing behind the line of scrimmage there. 2 of those being sacks. He had 2 forced fumbles as well. They had a 37-0 win as well. Jalen Matthews from San Gorgonio had 11 catches, 229 yards, 3 touchdowns in their win. Weston Egat from West Ranch. West Ranch just put up some phenomenal numbers in this game. Egat had 431 yards passing. He had 5 touchdowns. Probably his top target was Jovan Camacho at 6 catches, 169 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Camacho's twin brother Ryan, though, had 147 yards receiving and 2 touchdowns, and he had 18 carries for 251 yards rushing and 2 touchdowns. You get the Camacho twins, you know you're going to get some offensive numbers put up. Lontrell Diggs from Grace Brethren, 27 carries, 163 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Also had a sack for a safety on the defensive side. Grace Brethren continues to win. Team that's kind of popped up out of nowhere, and they've been getting some big wins there. Westlake was one of the teams that they beat. They get Jordan Patterson finally eligible after his transfer from Narbonne. He played like he was waiting to explode. 8 catches, 192 yards, 2 touchdowns. He also had an interception on the defensive side. That Westlake defense had 2 touchdowns, had a 69-yard interception return, an 88-yard fumble return, not including Patterson's interception as well. So giving them some credit. Let's go to Torrance. Stephen Bradford from North Torrance, 16 carries, 285 yards, and 5 touchdowns in a win. And then West Torrance, Xerxes Reamer. That's a pretty good name there.
Nice.
He had 25 carries for 245 yards, and he had 5 touchdowns as well. 212 of those coming in the first half, and he kind of shut it down in the second half in the 55-7 win. Jonathan Arsenault from Whittier, 18 carries, 171 yards. Usually that wouldn't make the cut this week, but he did have 6 TDs, so we'll get him in there as well. Same thing with Austin Rivera, 124 yards rushing for San Dimas, but 6 touchdowns as well in that one. And then last but not least, Elijah Juarez from Long Beach Poly. Elijah Juarez was actually a defensive lineman earlier in his career. He was a defensive lineman possibly even earlier this year, I think. I think he was playing a little bit on the defense side. Long Beach Poly wasn't getting it done early in this season. They put him in at running back. He ran for 128 yards and 3 touchdowns on 15 carries. He also had 65 yards receiving. They get a 35-0 win. And that's me out of breath because that's all my top performers.
All right, so every single player in Sunset just got named by shotgun. A lot of good games so far. We got to go to the field reporters now. We're going to start with Connor because he went the furthest away. He went all the way to Apple Valley.
I'm here at Apple Valley High, where the Sun Devils are off to a 7-0 start so far this season. The team is currently ranked number 1 in the Division V coaches poll in the Southern section. Earlier at practice, I caught up with star wide receiver Xander Witt, the leading receiver in Division V, and we discussed the Sun Devils' hot start.
Well, we definitely have been taking it very serious at practice, working hard, not taking any teams lightly, and definitely off-season we work pretty hard.
You're over 1,000 yards already receiving. You lead Division 5 in receiving yards. You're killing it right now, man. What's allowed you to be so successful individually?
Weight room, I take the weight room very seriously, and just working on techniques like catching the ball, breaking in and out of my routes, stuff like that.
I know you're trying to play in college. Could you give me an update on your recruitment and just where things stand?
Well, right now I have 2 offers, one from Colorado Mines and one from Trinity International University. So I've just been talking to them on the phone. I think after season I might go on and visit them.
Apple Valley is a little bit off the beaten path. Do you guys feel like you're not getting the attention you deserve this season because you're off to such a great start?
No, I feel like we're getting the attention we deserve, and I mean, it is what it is. We just want to work. Don't matter who watches.
Your quarterback, Jeff Widener, he has a couple offers as well, and you guys clearly have a great connection. What is it about him that allows you guys to work so well together?
Well, I mean, we click on and off the field. I mean, off the field, we're friends, and then on the field, we just monsters. We have that connection.
What are some of your favorite memories from your time here at Apple Valley?
My first touchdown definitely was sophomore year, and I jumped up over 2 defenders and caught it, so that was a big thing. And then just all last season, I remember going 10-0. It was a great feeling and breaking records.
So far this year, Xander, 7-0, as I said off the top. But really, these games haven't been too close. You won by 14 points last week. First game of the year, 10 points. Besides that, it's been a blowout. I know Oak Hills is the toughest game on the schedule, and that's the last game of the year. You play that team on the road. It seems like all roads right now are going to pass through there. How excited are you for that game?
Oh, I can't wait. We've been talking about that during summer. We just hyped that game up, and I can't wait. It's gonna be a close game. It's gonna be a dog fight, but I'm excited for it.
And on the other end, you never want to look ahead too much. So what will it take for this group to take it week by week and make sure you're undefeated by the time that last game comes?
Just stay disciplined, focused on, we'll just work day by day, every practice, and then game comes, we focus on that game until the next week.
So I asked you earlier about your favorite memory. This season, what's been the highlight for you?
Pretty much every game has been the highlight for me.
You've been doing awesome.
Definitely to open the season, I had around, I think, 300 yards, 5 touchdowns, so definitely a confident boost coming into the season, and just been keeping it going after that.
Xander, my final question for you. What's it going to take for this team to go out, win the rest of your games, and stay as the #1 team in Division 5 the rest of the way?
We are definitely going to stay disciplined, focused, and on the back of our Sun Devil shirts, we have finish. So that's our whole motto this year. Every practice we finish, every game we finish, every sprint we finish. So it's definitely been finished, and that's how we're going to finish off the season.
Beautiful. That's Xander Witt here at Apple Valley High, a wide receiver, breaking all kinds of records and stuff in the box score each and every night. Xander, thank you so much.
Thank you.
So there's the update from Apple Valley. Let's move on now to the game ball segment where I highlight some of the top players from the past week in the northern part of the southern section. Let's get things started at Calabasas High, where quarterback Jaden Casey went off against Sierra Canyon in a 42-35 win for the Coyotes. Casey in this game passed for 5 touchdowns, rushed for another, and that rushing touchdown ended up being the game winner. He was doing it all on offense, and really helps when you have the great receiving core that Calabasas does, but Casey was for sure the star in that game. At Alemany, Alonzo Fontanet, the wide receiver, a sophomore, had a huge game in Alemany's win over Chaminade on Friday. 7 catches for 144 yards and a touchdown in the 31-14 win. So Alonzo Fontanet, you get the second game ball. And finally, it's a wide receiver heavy week. Go to Alhambra, one of the top teams in Division 13. Raul Cortez had 7 catches for 167 yards and a touchdown in a 35-23 win over Montebello. So those are the 3 game balls for me this week. My pick, I'm going with an upset. I have Notre Dame Sherman Oaks winning at home against mighty Bishop Amat in the Mission League. That's my pick. We'll see what happens. Tommy, back to you.
Shotgun, Apple Valley is school kind of in the middle of nowhere, but and then I don't mean that, to be rude, but, kind of far away, harder to watch. But they have a very exciting high-powered offense.
Yeah, I mean, you talked with Widener there. I mean, he has been a guy on the outside that's been able to make some catches for him, and that offense has been able to put up some points. And they're a team that maybe you need to somebody needs to make a drive out to go see them. If you're looking for a good offense to see, take a little drive out to Apple Valley.
Yeah, now the quarterback Jeff Widener, I think he's got a couple FCS offers, so probably see him at some point on Saturdays. Next, we're going to go over to Beverly Fam.
Thanks, Tommy. A quick South Orange County update. Mater Dei defeated Santa Margarita 49-7. St. John Bosco defeated Orange Lutheran 63-28. JSerra won 49-6 against Servite, and San Clemente defeated El Toro 63-13. Today I'm here at El Toro High School. They're headed into homecoming this week. I got the chance to catch up with head coach Andy Diaz. It's his first year as head coach here, but he's no stranger to El Toro as he played here in 1988. Let's take a look. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much for having us.
How would you reflect on your season so far?
Well, I mean, first of all, this is my alma mater, so it's incredible to see these kids come out and play as a Charger as I did. And the kids have been working phenomenal. My new staff that I brought in has been doing a great job of preparing these guys, and so we're headed in the right direction.
How would you describe the culture here at El Toro?
It's a football school, definitely, and everyone supports it here, and they support the kids and everything. We have a motto of family, and that's what it is here. It's a family atmosphere.
Family on three. 1, 2, 3. Family!
How would you describe your coaching style?
My coaching style is aggressive, quick, fast. We basically try to have the other teams adjust to us.
What is your favorite part about coaching here?
The kids here are just phenomenal. The admin here, the faculty, everyone's so supportive. The community, I mean, this week is homecoming week for us, and the crowds just come out. They come out to support. With my coaching staff has been so supportive, and what they do is they love the kids, and that's one of the biggest things. It's such a family atmosphere.
What is your vision for this team and this program?
I mean, it takes a while for us. We're all brand new. We brought in a whole brand new staff, so it's going to take a little while for the kids to learn everything, but they're catching up a lot. For this season, we want to go deep in the CIF, hopefully get to the championship, and then you never know what will happen. But within the next couple of years, we definitely are looking for the league championship here.
You were previously head coach at La Quinta. What would you say you bring to a football program?
My aggressiveness, knowing how to coach, being there for the players, and that's something that I always want my players to know, is that I'm going to work for them no matter what, to get them into college, to get them into a job, to continue to be there for them, and no matter what, alumni are always welcome back.
The team had a tough loss to San Clemente last week. What do they need to focus on going into Tesoro this week?
One of the biggest things that we have to focus on is ourselves. And that's something that I preach to the kids, that every Monday is a new week. And so when Monday comes around, doesn't matter what you did last week, win or lose, and it's a new week. And people want to know what you're going to do. So Tesoro is a really good team. We've been facing teams that are in the top 10 of Orange County. And so when you're facing teams like that, it's very difficult, especially when we're young. But it's improving ourselves, focusing on ourselves, and remembering that we are a family here. On a scale of 1 to 10, I always grade them, and we're about like an 8+ right now, and which is good. It's very good. It means they're aggressive. That means that we're learning. On Mondays, we go on shells, so that way the kids can learn a lot. And the kids were having fun, and they were working. And that's the biggest thing, too, is football is about having fun. You got to have fun out there. I mean, that's why we're out here coaching. That's why we're out here, playing the game and things like that.
Thank you so much, and we wish you the best of luck.
Oh, thank you so much. And I, want to thank you guys for coming out again. Thank you.
Of course. Coming up this week, we have a Thursday game. Servite is playing Santa Margarita. And on Friday, Orange Lutheran is at JSerra at 7 p.m. on Fox Sports Prep Zone. The game of the week, Mater Dei versus St. John Bosco at 7:30 p.m. on Fox Sports Prime Ticket. Back to you.
All right, thank you, Beverly. Now it's time to hit it on over to Jessica.
Thanks, Tommy. Here I am at Upland High School, where I spoke with the head coach, Tim Salter, who has been the head coach here at Upland for the past 25 years. That's a couple years longer than I've even been alive. He's been coaching here. It's amazing right there. So this is someone that you definitely want to learn from as a high school athlete. He has coached a lot of athletes here, and a lot of the current athletes are definitely being rewarded with these great offers. They have someone like Justin Flo, who is the #1 outside linebacker in the nation right now, and he has currently 39 offers. So that is definitely one to watch right there. Now, Coach Salter has been doing such a great job here at Upland that the LA Rams actually awarded him with the Head Coach of the Year award, and he got to go to the Super Bowl with his son. So that is a great acknowledgement right there. Asked him a little bit about that. Also asked him about how his team has been performing, if they've been performing up to standard so far this year. Currently 6-1. You know, he's hoping to go pretty far, but they're taking it just one step at a time. Let's take a look and see what he had to say. Now, Coach, you were named the LA Rams Head Coach of the Year last year. What was that opportunity like?
Well, it was pretty amazing. All the coaches of the week got to go to the Ram game against 49er, and I was shocked when I was announced as the Coach of the Year. And then to learn that I get to go to the Super Bowl, I was able to take my son. It was a fantastic experience, and I really thank the Rams for that.
Just the icing on top of the cake right there. Now, you have been the head coach here for the past 22 years.
25 years.
25 years. Thank you for correcting me on that. How have you noticed the progression moving for this team?
Well, I think this year it was a real wake-up call against Mission Viejo. Mission Viejo beat us pretty soundly, and I thought at the time we had not been practicing well, but we've rededicated ourselves, refocused ourselves, and we've come out and played very well since then. I think we have a lot of players back from last year's team, and they had experienced a lot of success last year, but I think what they've learned is that you have to earn it all over again. Right. You can't just live on your laurels, you have to earn it every year.
Now, you guys are currently 6-1. How would you assess how the team has been playing on both sides of the ball so far?
Improving all the time. We've had 2 punt returns for touchdowns. We've had 2 kickoffs returns for touchdowns. We've had 2 shutouts going into last week's game. So we're working very well on all phases of the ball. Right now we're running the ball exceptionally well with Cam, and that creates isolations for Taj and guys like Simon to make plays.
Now, have there been any guys that have stood out this year that you weren't expecting to stand out prior in the year?
Well, I think we're really starting to get really good line play from like Christian Connolly and Jace Cavanis and different guys on the Stephen Arroyo, our center. So those guys are really starting to pick it up. We all know about Justin, but we have Kyle Thornton and different guys on defense. Justin's brother, John is playing well. And so different guys at different points of the year are really stepping up, and they're starting to gel at the right time.
Yeah, and it's all working out at the perfect time. How are you guys going to keep this momentum going into CIF play coming up in a couple of weeks?
Well, we still got to focus on league. So we're 2-0 in league. Our goal now is to become 3-0. We want to try to win a league championship. That's our first goal, which then positions us better in the playoffs. But the only way I know of that we have is just to practice well. We have to come out every day and work at it and practice well, and that's not going to ensure a win, but will put us in position to win games.
And what kind of a culture do you try and put into play here at Upland?
It's all about competition. So even somebody like Justin, they have to earn it every day on the field, and the players know that. So nobody can sit back and rest on the fact that they played well the week before, because if they don't practice well that week, then there might be somebody who takes their spot. So it's all about competition every day.
Thank you, Coach. I'm looking forward to watching you guys.
Sure, thank you.
As Coach Salter said, they're just taking it 1 week at a time, trying not to focus on CIF play quite yet. They have a couple of games leading up to that they really need to try and prepare for. This week they're going up against Etowanda. Should be a easy win for them right there. As far as the Southwestern League, we're going to throw it over to that for a second. All Murrieta teams took the win last week against Temecula teams, which is pretty crazy. One that was interesting was Temecula Valley lost 63-52 against Murrieta Valley. Now, that was a little unexpected. That's a barn burner right there that I wish I could have been at, but unfortunately I wasn't there. But that game, I expected it to be much lower scoring. I expected MV to sort of blow them out, but that's not what happened. So MV still got the win, but it's not what any of us would have expected, especially heading into the beginning of this season with Murrieta Valley ranked in our top 10 heading into the 2018 season. Now here we are starting to everyone is like really finalizing themselves where they're at in the southern section. Another game that I am looking forward to watching this week is going to be Chaparral versus Murrieta Mesa. Those teams are a little closer, will be a good turnout right there. And then we also have Temecula Valley going up against Vista Murrieta. I'm expecting a blowout, but who knows if it's anything like last week. They might go out there really competing. Should be a great one. Now, the game that I am going to head to is the Norco versus Centennial game. That game is going to be one to watch. I'm expecting the teams to go out there and really give it their all, but you know, as every year goes, I'm expecting Centennial to walk away with the win. So we'll see what happens. Thank you so much, guys. Back to you.
All right, Shotgun. Time for the game picks. We're going to save the biggest, the game of the Galaxy for last. We'll start with another good game. I mean, it's a game that you even said this is probably the only chance Centennial has of losing during the regular season. It is Centennial traveling to Norco.
And Norco playing at home, they're 6-1 now. They've won 5 straight. DJ Ford has had a big impact since missing nearly a month with a concussion. He's 11 carries, 97 yards, and TDs of 33 and 41 yards last week as they beat Santiago. Shane Illingsworth is a quality quarterback back there. He threw for 3 touchdowns. He's got an 18-2 touchdown to interception ratio. But their coach said after they won 33-22 last week, Chuck Chastain said we got to play a hell of a lot better if we have any chance to win next week. We like to think we have a chance, so we'll give it our best shot. They're going to need more than their best shot. Corona Centennial is a dominant team, and I got Corona Centennial in this one. Their defense, like I said, had 3 touchdowns and a safety this past game. They've got 31 sacks on the season already, and they've got explosive playmakers on the outside like Gary Bryant. He can get behind the defenses with his speed, or he took a screen for a touchdown against Corona on a ball that was on a play that was not set up for very well, and he made a couple guys miss and went for a touchdown. Reggie Ratzliff as well, 22 catches, 571 yards on the outside. He's got 7 touchdowns, and their running backs are definitely fresh because Thomas Kinslow had 3 carries and 2 touchdowns in the last game. Octavio Cortez had 4 carries and 2 touchdowns. So their top 2 running backs barely played at all. So I'm going to go with Corona Centennial.
I'm going to go with them as well. I saw Norco scrimmage against JSerra. It looked a little bit outmatched there. I know it was a scrimmage at the beginning of the season, so it's different now. But I've got Centennial. I've seen them twice so far this year. Very good team. Next, it is Oaks Christian, going to St. Bonaventure. Game being played at Ventura College.
St. Bonaventure has a dynamic weapon in Kai Rojas. He can play quarterback, he can play running back, he can play receiver, he can play safety. He plays all over the field for them. Last week he had 174 yards rushing, 66 yards passing, and 5-yard reception, and a loss to Westlake. And Westlake's coach Tim Kirksey called him the most talented kid we've seen on film. And they've played several strong teams this year. He had a 70-yard rushing touchdown as well. But they're going up against Oaks Christian. Oaks Christian's been pretty dominant, though. They've been accused of running the score up the last 2 weeks, and they did it without Zach Charbonnet last week. Their Michigan-committed running back, who's probably the best running back in California, he did not play last week. No real word on why he did not play. And Stanford wide receiver commit Bryce Farrell, another good big-time weapon on the offensive side, only has 11 catches, 248 yards, and 3 touchdowns. So they've been doing it with their defense and being able to run the ball when they need to. I think Oaks Christian wins this, but it'll be interesting to see if Charbonnet plays in this week after not playing last week.
Yeah, and going back to Kai Rojas, also a great basketball player, too. He can play pretty much any sport. So I'm going to agree with you, though. I'm going to go with Oaks Christian. I don't think we've even seen their best yet. I think we've been kind of holding back, waiting for the playoffs. I think you're going to see Oaks Christian, I think, can play with pretty much anyone in the Southern section. And I mean that. When I say anyone, I mean anyone. I'm with Oaks Christian. Next, it is a Trinity League matchup. It is Orange Lutheran traveling to JSerra.
Orange Lutheran really needs this win. They haven't been able to hang with strong teams in the second half. They kind of faded against Centennial, against Bosco last week. A couple of chances where they had for those marquee wins. They're playing without Kyle Ford, obviously, for the year. Reggie Strong probably out for the year. So, how do they beat JSerra? This JSerra offense has been rolling really well. Scored 35 points in the first half last week. Caden Bell was really good. And they've gotten offensive weapons all over. Tyler Shimamura had another touchdown in the slot. You have Tariq Luckett and Munir McClain on the outsides. Munir McClain scored in every game since coming back from injury. And then their defense has been really good, too. Sean Nelson, the San Diego State defensive tackle commit, has 7 sacks on the season. So I'm going to go with JSerra. They just got more power in the trenches, even though both teams had really explosive skill players.
We're having a boring week. I'm going to go with JSerra as well. Again, JSerra is a team that saw them playing against Bosco, was pretty impressed. They're going to get a shot at Modern Day soon. They're close, man. I'm not saying they're but they're close. Next, smaller schools. It is Linfield Christian at Aquinas.
Yeah, Division 12 Linfield Christian. They're 7-0. Division 5 Aquinas. They're 6-1. They've won 6 straight after losing their opener 7-2. That's not a very good score to lose by. But they're coming off a 65-0 thumping of Desert Christian. They won the CIF Southern Section in Division 9 last year, got moved up to Division 5 this year. They've been really bad at throwing the ball, though. They've got 2 QBs that have thrown for a combined 37%, but they get it done on the ground. Andrew Kellstrom's averaging 108 yards on the ground. They've got some weapons that they can use. I'm going to go with Aquinas. They're 6-1. Linfield Christian has Kendrick Jamison. He was running for 100 yards and scored in all 7 games. Travion Brown is an outside linebacker commit for Washington State who does it on the offensive side as well. They also got Ben Coleman, who's a Cal commit. So there's some talent on the field for Linfield Christian. But I'm going to go with the bigger school here and go with Aquinas.
I'm going to go with Linfield Christian. And by the way, Aquinas, that jump from Division 9 to Division 5 is crazy. That is one heck of a move there. All right. No more messing around. It is the game of the galaxy, as I've so called it. It is St. John Bosco going into Santa Ana Stadium, take on Mater Dei. It'll be on Fox Sports Prime Ticket at 7:30. It might be raining as well. Keep that in mind.
I sure hope not.
I hope not as well, because I will be there. By the way, for all these games, it might be raining, so good luck with that, kids. Bosco,
if it's raining, obviously what you do is pull up the Fox Sports Go app
and stay at home.
Or at least just stay under cover. Watch the game from underneath the awning or something while it's raining. And then when it stops, you can go back out.
Yeah, Santa Ana Stadium's got some nice coverage there. They got some trees and stuff. St. John Bosco at Mater Dei. Shotgun. The floor is yours. I know this one might take a while.
Well, it could take a while. I'm going to make it pretty short and sweet. I'm going to take Mater Dei in this. I think their defensive secondary of Elias Ricks, Jeremiah Cradell, that group, Dorian Green-Warren, is going to be able to shut down the wide receivers of St. John Bosco. And I think that the Mater Dei offense, I just think that Bryce Young's creativity at the high school level is going to be too much for the defense of St. John Bosco. I think that gives them the advantage because if a play breaks down, he can make a guy miss and makes a ridiculous play happen like he did in the IMG game a couple times, and also in that Mater Dei game or Bishop Gorman game where things were not going their way. I think Elias Ricks is going to be a good matchup on the outside with Elias Ricks and Cradell and Green Warren versus Chris Hudson, who's coming off a 4-touchdown performance, 2 touchdowns receiving. But for St. John Bosco, one of the keys I think that could help push them above is Jude Wolf in the middle of the field. Using the tight end and being able to attack the middle of the field against a Mater Dei would give them an opportunity to win this game. But I think I'm going to go with Mater Dei, playing at home.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Mater Dei too. And this may not be fair, but the 2 times I've seen these teams in person, Bosco's playing JSerra, Mater Dei is playing IMG. So the game against IMG is probably the best game Mater Dei played. So that's my perception of them. Bosco kind of played down, I guess you would say, to JSerra. So that's my perception of them. Both home games for both teams. This was at Mater Dei's place. I think this is another one where Mater Dei plays up to the competition. Mater Dei actually always plays to their competition. They rarely ever play down any competition. I think Bosco will rise to the occasion, but I still think Mater Dei will prevail.
That's it. I mean, I got those guys. There's going to be so much talent on the field that this is we're calling it the game of the galaxy because if you called the IMG game the game of the century, then what is this game when it's 1 versus 2 in the nation, according to Max Preps, and 1 versus 3 in my rankings for Southern
versus
Section.
3 in Southern Section, not even in.
Hey, here's Bosco's chance. If they want to be mad at me for being ranked number 3, here's their chance to move to number 1. They win this game, they'll be number 1. There's no doubt about it.
All right, there you go, Braves. You heard it there first. If you beat the best team in the nation, Shotgun will finally agree and put you first in your own section. There you go. That is all we've got for this week. We'll be back next week with the results of that game and definitely a new top 10 no matter what happens because